Hi there, welcome back for another lap guide and setup video. Today we are at Zolder in the Bentley, and was working on it yesterday and today. Yesterday, best I could do was a 30.9 with race fuel at 20 degrees Celsius, track at ambient temperature on an optimum track, and then today I spent some time working on it, trying to fine tune some things. I was able to get down into a 30.1. I forget what I said earlier, if I said it. It was a 30.9 yesterday, and then today it got down to a 30.1 with 62 liters of fuel, and definitely room to get into the 29s. Dialing in a few trouble spots, particularly the chicane. So here are the tires. And at first I was hesitant to go up to TC4. I was trying to use 3, but found when I went up to 4 that I was able to shave off about 3/4 of a second immediately. And at first glance, the error might seem high at 10. I had it fluctuating between 8 and 9 and decided to give 10 a go, and the extra downforce pushing down the rear helped with the rotation, a lot of tighter spots. Let's go check out a few laps. I'm definitely very happy with the setup. I know with race fuel on PC, a lot of the top guys are in the high 28s, and you know, realistically, I should be able to get into a high 29s or 29.6 with this setup. So that's, you know, about a second off from the fastest guys on PC. So I'd be really happy with that. And just to show you what we were doing, so you can see at the top, 30.9 at the beginning, down to 30.4, and made a couple changes. And then if we look at the last 4 hot laps, or flying laps, 31.4, then a 31, 30.4, and then another 30.1, and should have been able to get into the 29s on that last lap, but didn't take the chicane as well as I would have liked. Now we'll go into the lap guide for you. First braking spot is right after the 100 board. After the 100 board, and then just before this banner over here, I found the more laps I was running, I was getting more comfortable braking later here. So I'll just rewind it so we can see. There's our 100 board on the left side. Actually, never knew it existed until trying to put this together. So you see the 100 board. And start the braking now. Down at the second gear, let the car coast. As we reach around the apex, we'll start to throttle out once the car is over on the right side, over by the dirt. So here we start to punch out. Next brake point will be the Pirelli sign over on the right side. We'll just brake right beforehand. Down into second gear. Coast a little bit as we reach around the corner and then start to punch out. Full throttle. Next brake point will be these white signs over on the left, just as you're passing. So you can see just as I was passing by, just a slight touch. I'll rewind just so we can see that in full speed, how much of a light touch we're talking about. And then we're getting on the throttle just as we pass the midsection. So again, just a slight touch just to get that rotation. Once you pass this light post over on the right side next to the car, then you can start to punch down on the throttle. Up ahead, we'll be braking just after the 100 board. So there's our 100 board. Actually start the brake on this lap right at the 100 board, so we'll start the brake there. Getting down at the second gear, and I've done a bunch of laps trying to get through the chicane at first, and after watching some of the fast guys around Zolder, almost all of them were using second gear through the chicane, so that would be something to aim for as you're coming through. I'll slow it down as we go through here. Start to turn in right at the end of the carnival colored board on the right. So red and white striped wall over on the right. Once that comes to an end, we'll start to angle in. That's about where you want to put the car. Avoiding, see if we can get a better angle. I don't know if we will get a better angle. But yeah, avoiding those curbs to the left of the car. Obviously, that's going to throw you off. Same thing on this right side. Definitely want to avoid putting the tire directly across them. I believe there's ways through the chicane where you can split the curbs directly underneath the car and not get a track limit warning. So again, we're in second gear throughout the whole chicane. Around this section of the track, there's a couple bumps in the road that you may want to try to stay to the right side. It may slow the car down a little bit. And then we'll be coming up one of the trickier spots on the track, at least for me. So this brake point coming into the second chicane will be the beginning of the red and white striped wall over on the left side. So you can see we have the full brake on now. Coming down into first gear, and it'll probably be a lot quicker to get through the chicane if you can do a delayed downshift in the first gear. So where coming into the first part, you'll be in second gear, down at the first, and then also look to have a quick upshift into second as you're exiting the chicane, and that will help you get better traction into the corner that follows. So again, we're downshifting just as we're about to enter through. Avoiding those curbs over on the right side. They will get you tossed if you put the tires directly on top. Same with here. I just barely got my tires just on the outer fringe of those curves. So right here, or slightly backward I should say, you may want to look into upshifting in the second gear around here. That'll help you get better traction for the corner up ahead. Because right here you'll find, if you're still in first gear around this part of the track, you may end up feeling like you're losing some grip. Next corner coming up, it took a while to dial in the setup. It was kind of tricky to get it where you can take this corner flat out. Ideally, that's where you would like to be. If you need to, it could be a very slight coast. I'll slow it down just to see what we're doing with this. So yeah, if you look at the throttle input, it's completely flat out. And over here on the left side, if the left tires get a little bit on the grass right after when the curb ends, it's not going to be too much of a trouble spot. You shouldn't spin out even if the tires get a little bit more over on the left side. Braking up ahead right when the dark color, I'll bring it back. Up ahead we'll be braking right as this. So you can see on the right side, it's kind of a dark colored wall. Looks like it's collecting a bunch of dirt and grime, and then at the end the wall gets clean right there. So braking right when you have that clean section separated from the dirty section, and also on the up ahead you can see the 100 board over on the left side. So yeah, I start to apply the brakes just as the front of the car is meeting that edge. Down into first gear. Now this spot coming up, at least with the Audi, I find that it helps you create more top end speed before braking at the end of this little section of the track. It helps if you short shift the car a little bit. So you may find that depending what car you're using, that may be beneficial for you to be short shifting this section. And we'll be braking right at the 100 board over on the right side. I've been on this track with a few different cars, and this is, it may not seem crucial, but it's a very crucial braking spot on the track, because you may want to try to take this braking zone deeper, and all you're going to end up doing is missing your apex on this next chicane coming up, and it's going to slow you down considerably, probably about half a second or so. So this is definitely one section of the track. Try not to get greedy with on your braking. Let's see exactly where we're at. So yeah, just as I pass it, let's see. Down the first gear, avoiding this curb on the left, and for your exit, and this was something that I discovered watching people racing around this track, is you'll want to try to get into second gear before you reach your exit out on the second part of the chicane. First gear, you're going to find the tires may slip in first gear on the exit going into the start-finish straight, and also you're losing valuable time with regard to speed by sticking around in first gear. So you can do it. And see, I was actually a little late getting it to second gear, and you'll see on the next lap that I was able to get into second gear a lot sooner. So, you know, before you're at this spot, you should try to be in second gear, and that will help you have a higher top speed as you're exiting out. Avoiding the curbs over on the right side on your exit. And that's it for the lap guide. We'll go through one more lap in this view, and I'll rewind back, and then we could view it from the cockpit. So yeah, the first lap was a 30.4, and then we got a 30.1. And if you notice, when I was working through the second lap, at turn one, it actually did not downshift into second. I can't recall if that was. I'm pretty sure that wasn't intentional. I think my speed, my RPMs was too high in third gear when I was coming around to downshift in the second. So that bit of a miscue with the gearing at turn one, that probably cost me about 0.2. So we'll go back, and from the cockpit view, So something to note that I just saw on the screen while we're going through that lap is I actually had my ABS down to 3 and the brake bias was at 62% instead of, I believe, 63.4% on the setup. So I know I talked about the ABS a little bit at the beginning when we were showing this setup, and it was at 4, and looks like I actually bumped it down to 3 for these last 2 laps. So that's it for the Bentley setup at Zolder, and hopefully you find this video helpful, and I'll see you next time.